Today's Patreon shoutout goes to Z. Zopandrel versus Phoenix. And Destiny Spinner should be good against a Dimir player. We'd hope to draw into another land. The Troll into Hunter's Insight might be good, so we'll try it. Our opponent is on the play and gets down a Bloodchief Ascension, which we will want to blow up as soon as possible. And we get into a Wooded Foothills, so that is the third land that we need. Not going to do anything on turn 1. And we see the Dimir colours into Disciple of Deceit from our opponent. They cannot put the 2 damage on us with that at least. They can swing it into the Destiny Spinner though and untap it, which is unfortunate. We get into another land. So I think I'll crack the Wooded Foothills now whilst our opponent can't deal an extra point of damage to us. I'm not sure how a Dimir player would do it during our turn, but probably good to get that out of the way. Our opponent just gets down a black mana and passes. We draw into Garruk, Wild Speaker, drop a third land and feel pretty safe getting down the Old Growth Troll. Not going to see too many spells from our opponent just yet, so we can get down the Mana Gorger Hydra next turn when we're more likely to see multiple spells a turn. A Whispering Madness from our opponent, so we are forced to discard our hand. Luckily we do still get into some decent cards here. It's actually a bit of a better curve for us. Noteworthy, our opponent only discarded a Bone Horde and a Consuming Apparition. This is ciphered onto the creature as well. Our opponent must have started with fewer cards in hand, I didn't notice. Another land for us, so I think we just use this turn to ramp. Go for the Emerald Medallion, and then it can be a 1-mana Sakura Tribe Elder. Then I'm not particularly keen on letting my opponent untap with this thing, so if they're going to swing in, they can do it into the Old Growth Troll. So we'll leave it there. And the first commander is Phoenix, God of Deception. So that is their means of tapping this thing down now. So let's crack the Sakura Tribe Elder so that we've got an extra mana next turn. Alright, there's a Defiler of Vigor, which I quite like, so throughout a land we'll go for the Defiler of Vigor for 4 mana. And then we can go for a 2 mana Yorvo, as long as we're willing to put 2 life into it. And it's time to start piling on the damage onto our opponent now, I think, now that they can go for the Disciple of Deceit at will. We can swing in with both now that there has been a plus counter put on everything, thanks to the Defiler of Vigor. This thing now has 3 power, so can swing through that. And the Bloodchief Ascension will have its first counter put on it, thanks to the Defiler of Vigor. So we're going to have to be careful with that. Should be able to look at drawing a bunch of cards with the Greater Good soon, though. And that should get us into some enchantment removal. Oh, there's a board wipe in the form of Ixodron. It's noteworthy that the Disciple of Deceit is turned face down, of course, but still has this ciphered onto it. You'd think that they would activate the ability on this for the mill before it got flipped round, losing a card there, but getting rid of us a Goreclaw and a 3 visits. So I don't feel too bad about going for the Greater Good and sacrificing a 6/6 at this point. Alright, there is a Silverback Elder, so we can blow up the Bloodchief Ascension with that. So I think we go for swinging in here. Deal 6 damage to our opponent, assuming that he doesn't block. I'd be happy to see the back of the Ixodron, hoping that they don't have any reanimation, although it's a mill deck, so you think they'd pack some reanimation so that they can target our library. Anyway, taking the 6 to that. So now we can go for the Greater Good and sacrifice this thing. We'll draw 6 and discard 3, so there's a Sol Ring, Farhaven Elf. I think that has to be a land, Farhaven, and a land. Get down the forest. Might as well throw out the Sol Ring first, and then it can be the Silverback Elder, and then hopefully this thing can blow up the Bloodchief Ascension next turn. We can gain 2 cards by sacrificing that if we want to. Emergency Weld now. Return an artifact or creature from graveyard to hand and make a soldier token. So they're grabbing themselves back a Consuming Aberration. Pretty good card against us because this is a creature-based deck, as you would expect. Don't think they're going to be able to afford to get it out this turn, thankfully. Now a Wayfarer's Bauble from our opponent, not doing too bad on the mana this game for a Dimir player, and cracking that straight away. Then the face-down card going to Millers for 2. Gets rid of a Garruk, Primal Hunter, unfortunately. Seeing the same from Ixodron. And that one was a Wild Growth, a Beast Whisperer, and a couple of lands. Not too worried about that. Okay, there's a Sylvan Library for us, which is pretty good against a Dimir player. They're not as likely to get rid of enchantments. So let's go for Zopandrel first, and then we can put the Silverback Elder on the stack, destroy the Bloodchief Ascension before it comes too much of a headache for us. And this way we can double up the face down creatures and draw 3 and discard 3, or it'll be draw 6 and discard 3 I should say. So I won't play anything yet, probably going to get down the Sylvan Library though. Zopandrel going to trigger and double up all the powers. And I will hold back a blocker for this thing just in case they manage to get rid of our commander. So we'll just swing in with a 10-14 and a couple of 6/6s. The soldier token going in the way of our big ape. Could have got rid of that with the ape's own ability by playing the Elder Gargaroth. Obviously chose not to do that, and our opponent's down to 16 regardless. So before we lose the power and toughness, let's get rid of the Destiny Spinner. Draw 6 and discard 3. So there's a land. We've got Finale of Devastation, isn't bad. Neither's Eternal Witness. Let's see here. I think we can get rid of the Beanstalk Giant, a land, and another land, seeing as how the Wood Elves is going to get us an untapped land. So the Silverback Elder. No enchantments to destroy. So we'll look at the top 5 cards of our library and see if we can get a land off that. And we can. There's a forest, so that effectively makes up for the land that we didn't make this turn. And like I said, Wood Elves is going to bring one in untapped anyway. Noteworthy that the ape doesn't, with its second ability, put the cards in our graveyard, it puts them on the bottom. So we're not helping our opponent along with the mill on that front. Play the Sylvan Library for 1 mana and pass. And there is our opponent's Consuming Aberration. I think we're going to be able to go wide with the Finale of Devastation, thankfully. And hopefully they won't get haste onto their Consuming Aberration. We have 56 cards left in the library, so we wouldn't last long against that thing. And they start to mill us now, so not holding up the blocks there, which is interesting. Maybe they've got counter magic. We can go for something out of the bin with Finale of Devastation, but I don't think there's anything too relevant. They did mill a Beast Whisperer previously, but that's about it. Oh, there's a Goreclaw here as well, which might be worth going for actually, because it will give +1 on trample to a few things. Alright, an Ancient Tomb. We will draw cards to the Sylvan Library. Okay, and Nykthos is actually better than Ancient Tombs, so put on top the Nissa. We can flip this turn, so I'll pay the 4 life and keep hold of that. Can also shuffle away the Ancient Tomb with it as well. And we can also hold up mana for something like a Beast Within onto the Consuming Aberration. And I don't think we've seen the Beast Within be milled yet, so we can hope for drawing into that after combat if we don't manage to go wide on our opponent. Maybe all we have to do here is go Finale of Devastation, but they might have a counter spell is the problem. So let's go for the Nissa. Don't suppose there's any harm in trying to get some more lands out with the Silverback Elder. Scavenger Grounds, yeah, we'll just go for the Ancient Tomb there. Going to shuffle everything around anyway, because we search out a forest with the Nissa. Oh, I've just noticed a Thunderfoot Baloth actually. So that's another thing we could grab. So why don't we grab that now with the Witness, because it costs 2 mana, but we'll get 2 mana back from the Nykthos. Might as well keep trying to go for lands with the Silverback Elder. Okay, and we miss on that, but we're not seeing any Beast Within on top at least, so we cleared 5 cards off the top, getting us closer to a Beast Within. I'll grab the Goreclaw with the Eternal Witness, and then I think it's safe to go for the Goreclaw now, so we'll do that, and I'll gain the life this time because we're getting pretty risky with putting a Beast Within on the bottom of our library. Elder Gargaroth now only costs 2 mana, trying to get as much devotion as possible for the Finale of Devastation. And we'll gain the life again from the Silverback Elder. So now we play the Nykthos. We hold priority so that we can add a little bit more green mana, because when this thing flips around it doesn't have a green pip. So that makes us 15 mana. We will go for the minus onto the Nissa to make 4/4. Then we go for the Finale of Devastation, so that can be 6, so that we can hold up some mana. Say done on that. And it can be a Thunderfoot Baloth to give +2/+2 and trample to everything. And then I'm still worried about this Consuming Aberration. I mean, it looks like we could have just put 10 into X on this and given everything +10/+10 in haste. But yeah, we're still worried about counter magic from our opponents, so let's go for sacrificing some things and trying to get into the Beast Within. Okay, ram through is about as close as we've got here, but unfortunately that won't work. Play ourselves the Sky Shroud claim so that we can get some untapped lands into play. And then we see the Beast Within shuffling things around again. We've only got 2 basics left, is noteworthy. So we'll go for Greater Good again. This time get rid of the Elder Gargaroth. Going to sacrifice that for 8 power. And we're going to have to discard 3 cards. Yep, still no Beast Within for us. Lightning Greaves might be useful though. Questing Beast could be as well. Let's get rid of Dawn Treader Elk, Rex Sage, and Castle Garenbrig is pretty useless to us now. Nature's Law is free. Sacrifice the Eternal Witness on the hunt for the Beast Within. Alright, didn't get into it there. Our opponent decides to scoop, got into some fast mana, and the Return of the Wild Speaker could have pushed even more damage through, so probably able to smash through our opponent with that. Was just being really overly cautious with the double blue mana. Thought they would have been able to counter the Finale of Devastation. Could have got them with that, but clearly didn't need to here. We actually got down to 11 cards there, so I'm not sure how close we were to this Beast Within. Just been kicked out into the lobby, so we'll never know. But hopefully you all enjoyed this visit to the creature-based Zopandrel deck. A link to the deck is in the description, and I do thank the patrons for supporting the channel as always. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.